So why not we can just start it right now. Welcome again, everyone, for joining today's session. So this is a webinar for Manus for SMB series, and we have the today topics build website that win customers. Now we have AY. AY is today's speaker, and he's the CEO of Afro Puppy Yoga, one of the largest puppy yoga companies in Canada with over 500 five-star reviews so far. And he's also the CEO of Aklon Institute. He has two companies. And AY leverages Manus AI not just as a tool, but as a full stack developer to build and automate and also scale his complete business infrastructure. So yeah, and I am today's webinar's host. I'm Yesli from Manus team. I work on community stuff. Yeah. So just a very short intro for Manus AI. Manus AI it's a general AI agent, and again, just it can help you create multiple format of deliverables and help you automate the very complex workflow. So we hope like today's session will help you better understand how this product work and help you just build your own business, use Manus as your AI chief of stuff. Okay. So today's session is here. So AY brings his company and his brilliant story. We will go through six powerful use cases you can list here. Yeah. All right. So before the AY session, we can know a little bit more about his company, Afro Puppy Yoga. We have a very short video here. Let's play together.
I guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find the love within. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go.
Okay, lovely video. All right. Okay, so I will hand it over to AY. AY?
Hi everyone, my name is AY. I'm the CEO founder of Afro Puppy Yoga and Echelon Institute. Afro Puppy Yoga is basically a puppy yoga studio where people come together to do yoga, stretch, and then they also get to play with puppies. And we find that this combination helps people to relax and feel more present, and it creates a much more joyful experience of wellness. Our goal is also to make wellness to be much more inclusive and diverse compared to what it's traditionally known to be. Echelon Institute is basically a training program or an exam prep program for people in the trades. So think, for example, people who are in the water wastewater industry, or people who want to be plumbers, or people in construction. They have to write exams, but they're not good tools to study for these exams. So I built Echelon Institute. So I'm going to be laying the foundation for basically use case one, which is basically to build the Afropop Yoga website. Um, to just like to start off building the website, all I typed was in the prompt. Prompts are basically instructions that you give to the AI. Was basically build a new website for Afropop Yoga, improving on the previous website that we had. And Manus went ahead to plan the steps, continuously iterate on the layout, and based on feedback that I gave it, it was able to match the design to my vision. And as you can see, it's creates something truly beautiful. And yeah, it's been so next slide, please. Here is basically what the text window for Manus looks like. As you can see, my prompts are not super complex. They're honestly very conversational. When I want to build something, I literally just talk like I'm talking to like a friend. And so in this case, I just say build a new website for Afropuppy Yoga, improving on afropuppyyoga.ca, which was our old website. And you can see Manus will go ahead and do a bunch of research and then create the product for you. Next slide, please. Again, you see Manus doing all of the research for you, and as it's designing, going through each phase of your of the task that you're given it, it's going to give you updates, and you can see what it's doing and how much progress it's making. So next slide, please. And so, we're able to get something that looks like this. And I think for the Afro Puppy Yoga website is a fairly complex website. And I think for much other types of businesses that are not as complex, I think Manus is a great tool for you to build a website without having a developer. Like if you don't have the finances to hire an actual developer to build you a very beautiful custom-made website, I think Manus is a great alternative for that. And I think Afro Puppy Yoga's website is like a great example of that. Next slide. Another use case that I found that Manus was very good for is adding integrations. So for example, one of the things that I did for our website was to bring in some of our Instagram videos. And the importance of having these integrations is that you want the customers to stay on your site, to be convinced on your site, and go and book the class. As much as possible, you want to reduce the friction between when the customer discovers your product and when they buy your product. The moment they land on your landing page or on your website, you want them to have enough evidence to feel convinced to buy your product. And part of that, as you can, in the case with my business, is videos. Videos are a great way to communicate the authenticity and the vibe of the class. And so we already had lots of videos on Instagram, but I wanted to bring in those videos into our website. And Manus was great for doing that because all I had to do is using the connector tools, I was able to bring in our Instagram videos as well as our calendar. We currently host all of our classes on Luma. You can think about Luma like Eventbrite. So, for example, if you have your classes on Eventbrite as well, you can bring in your Eventbrite calendar and embed it on your website. And customers won't have to go to Eventbrite. Right on your website, they can see all of your classes or bookings that you offer and go ahead and book. And so I think like Manus is great for helping with these third-party widgets. So you can embed like Google reviews, you can embed like a Google Calendar, you can embed like an Instagram feed, a Luma calendar. And I found that it was very, very easy to use and it was very mobile responsive as well. Next slide, please. So these are some example of the prompts, and basically just me giving Manus instructions on what to build. So I basically just told it that I wanted to embed my Luma calendar. It gave me the different options. I told it, okay, do option one, and he asked me what my Luma profile URL was. I gave it to it, and then it took that and embedded the calendar. And it's really that easy. And I think, Manus does a great job of making the design of your website. You have what I want to call creative control. And all you're doing is steering the AI in the way to go to create what it is that is in your mind, right? So next slide, please. As you can see here, this is the prompt that I'm asking Manus to basically embed our Instagram. And I basically just tell it, add a video section embedding our Instagram. And, Manus goes ahead to, look for our Instagram account. It picks the 12 reels that we're doing well already, and then downloads it onto its platform and then embeds it onto the site. And again, these are very fairly complex things if you were to actually design with a developer, but with Manus, it's really, really easy. Next slide, please. Um, one of the things that I think Manus is also great for is that Manus is very good at like understanding your preferences and tastes. The more you communicate what you like and what you don't like, either through positive reinforcement or negative um, reinforcement. So meaning tell it when it does something well, you tell it, I really like this. Or when it does something you don't like, you tell it, I don't like this. It becomes used to your taste. And so it becomes very good at like projecting what it thinks you would like. And I think in this particular case, with designing, for example, the Instagram section, it's by itself created the watch the magic unfold. And I think that's pretty cool because if you're not like a product manager or a product developer, you wouldn't think to design those things yourself. And I think Manus can understand the context and really help you. Next slide, please. Another use case that I think Manus really helped us with, as Afro Puppy Yoga grew, now we're at 3 locations. But when we were just at one, it was easy for me to answer all of our Instagram DMs and emails. But as we scaled, I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't answer. We have so many DMs that come through and emails that come through. And so using Manus, created an AI chatbot service. And this helps us provide 24/7 customer support to customers asking a variety of questions. And all I had to do was give it some of our training documents or inception documents, meaning documents that I had created when I initially had the vision for Afropop Yoga. Next slide, please. As you can see here, I basically ask Manus a very simple question. How hard would it be to build a chatbot for our website? Because I didn't know and I had no idea. But I knew that, like, I thought in my mind it would be very difficult. And I asked it what the difference was between a generic chatbot and an AI chatbot. And, Manus obviously goes on to give me a detailed breakdown, explaining to me the difference between the chatbots. Next slide, please. As you can see, it gives me the breakdown, and then from the options that it gives to me, I select what I want. And so I tell it, hey, I want you to design the website chatbot. And then it goes on to build what that would entail. Next slide, please. One of the things that I think Manus is also great for is individual customizations. If you look very, very closely at the slide, at the very bottom of the website, you see like a little chat button. But when it designed that, it made the color yellow, which obviously deviates from the design color of the overall website. And I was able to just say, hey, I see that you have made it brown, which is different from the overall website color. Please make sure that they match. And Manus is very good at retaining the code because he actually has storage and databases that handles all of the code for you. So you don't need to have a separate database somewhere. All of your code remains on your session and remains in Manus, and Manus can just easily go back, look at the website code, look at the color palette, and then continue your designs over long periods of iterations and sessions. And then it goes ahead, it says got it, and the web figures out what the website uses and then goes ahead to build the websites uh, with the new colors. Next slide, please. Another use case that I've really enjoyed using Manus for is basically making my life easier. Again, as Afro Puppy Yoga has grown, um, we now have I now have lots of things to manage, right? So, for example, I have lots of staff across different locations. We have lots of people applying for jobs. I have lots of staff submitting their invoices for payroll. We have lots of people asking for events, requests for proposals. We have lots of breeders that want to work with us. And so having one place where I was able to organize everything was really, really helpful, especially when it came to job applications. One of the things that we have to do as a business is to hire. I'm sure every business owner knows this. Now, typically, you would have to, maybe put your posting on Indeed or maybe you would have to put it on Simply Hired. But with Manus, all I had to do was create a careers page, create Instagram posts, post it on our Instagram, run ads that link to our career page, and that was able to save us a lot of money and a lot of time. And then using Manus, I was able to collect people's resumes, videos, and make decisions and hiring decisions. So, with Manus, I'm able to build a complete staff and admin portal inside the same session as well. And basically, building a full stack like admin portal for a business. Next slide, please. Here is an internal database that I built for Afro Puppy Yoga, which basically manages our breeder database. Our breeder database is basically the list of puppy partners that we work with. Um, this database has to be secure, obviously, because we don't just want anyone to have it, because our breeder database is basically our advantage and edge against other puppy yoga studios, right? And so by having it in Manus, I'm able to secure it so that I'm the only one who has access to it. When before, it would usually just be in an Excel file that anyone can copy. So I think it's very good for things like this because I could create infinite amounts of databases and I don't have to worry about that because Manus manages that on the back end. Another thing with the databases is that I can create customizations. For example, there's an availability blast that basically lets me send an email to every single person in the database requesting their availability, which I think normally before I would have had to do manually, which would take days. Next slide, please. So here are example of my prompts to Manus to basically build the breeder database. Again, as I've tried to communicate in this seminar, is that your prompts don't have to be super organized or detailed or even structured. You can honestly just talk to Manus like you're talking to a friend. Another thing that helps is that you can also use the voice tool where you can turn on the voice and honestly just have a conversation. And Manos is really good at understanding context and understanding what you want. So as you can see here, I, basically describe what I want for the breeder database. And, Manos understood exactly the context and goes ahead to build it. And so, yeah, these are what the prompts look like. Next slide, please. I think one of my favorite tools to build, like I had mentioned earlier, is the invoice tracking and job application dashboards. As you can see here with the invoice tracking, I'm able to track all of my invoices for all of my staff. I can see how much I'm owing them, by how long I need to pay them by, how much I have to the deadline or the due date of their invoices. And this is good because as APY gets bigger, I can't manage that many invoices in my mind or in emails. And so by having my staff submit an invoice and having the AI do the back calculation and give me reminders, it's been perfectly great. And it helps me also keep a good account so that when it's time for me to do my taxes, I can just come in here, pull out all of this data and submit it to my tax accountant. Same thing with the job applications as well. From the job application, we can receive applicants' videos, applicants' resumes. I can send them an offer letter from the portal that I've created. I can send them a rejection letter. I can also send them onboarding documents as well. And this has allowed us to be able to move extremely quickly. And so even though I'm just the sole CEO and founder, I'm able to do so much more that would have taken an entire team of people. So next slide, please. Here is basically a conversation for use case 6 between myself and Manus, basically creating the invoice tool. As you can see, I basically just describe what I want. Again, my prompts are not structured or detailed in any way, but they contain the key idea that I'm trying to the key vision that I want to create, and that's the most important thing, giving Manus direction. So I tell it, create a tool in our website where staff can submit their invoices as PDFs, and then you extract the name, position, pay, and due date, and how many days left to pay them from the current day. Because I was having lots of issues with keeping up with invoices, and I needed that to be solved. So, and as you can see, Manus is like, love the idea, and it goes on to build it for me, which I think is like really great. So you get to have this kind of conversational relationship in a way where over time, it starts to really understand what your business is and what you're building. And it would start to give you even suggestions to build more. Next slide, please. Again, these are prompts that I have asked Manus to build, and as you guys can see, it does a really great job. For example, like I mentioned, I created a careers page recently, and we needed to hire a social media intern. And I didn't want to put it on Indeed or Simply Hired, so I just asked Manus to create it so that when people came to our website and maybe they were browsing around looking for classes, but they really wanted to be part of the team and they felt like they could contribute, they would just go to the careers page and easily apply. And yeah, it looks great. And if you went to the website right now, you can apply as well. Next slide, please. Again, these are just more prompts that I gave to Manus to build the refund tracker. Again, as you can see, I'm just giving it straight directions, like I'm talking to like an intern. Can you make a refund tracker? Put it in the staff portal. That's it. And it knows exactly what I want, and it goes and does it. And I don't have to give super detailed instructions, except once it's built what I want and it's not correct, then I'll give it much more detailed instructions. And then typically it does a good job within the first one or two tries. Next slide, please. Oh,
All right, so AY just help us go through his 6 use cases just now, and we have already seen a lot of question in our QA session. So before we go to the QA, we have a very short transition about the tips for getting the most from Manus, because we know not everyone can just make Manus click for their business or their personal productivity session from day one. So yeah, about what kind of suggestion or what kind of advice you will share here for people who want to try Manus and make the most use out of it, like if they just start day one? Yeah.
I think like when one of the best tips is to be very clear and
Mhm.
direct when giving Manus instructions. One of the things that I find is that if you have an example of what you want to create, give that to Manus. So, for example, if I wanted to build Afro Puppy Yoga, but I didn't know where to start, all I had to tell it is, I want you to research all of the other puppy yoga studios near me, find me the best ones, pull together the best, what do you think is the best website? And then it's able to pull all of that information together and create something unique that you can then customize and make your own. So, as much as possible, try using it to do research on anything that you want to learn or understand. Another thing is to use the plan tool before you start before you start building. It's important that you know what it is that you want to build, and you communicate to Manus all the things that you want it to build. And in the connector section of the chat, there's a button to select plan. I feel like everyone should use that a lot. And also, it doesn't consume credits. So the execution of doing some of the tasks can consume a lot of credits, which you will come to find. So I'll suggest using the plan tool. Another thing is, again, like I had mentioned when I was showing you the use cases is using positive reinforcements and negative reinforcements. When Manus does something that you really like and you see that it's truly great and beautiful, tell it that like this is really good. Now it starts to have an idea of your expectations and what it is that you like. And the next output, it will try to match that. Similarly, when it does something that you don't like, you need to challenge it and be like, I don't like this. This is not up to the standard that I want. And then it would do a good job of producing you a better result. So I think those are the steps, those are the tips that I would say is from getting the most. Another thing is like use it like a child.
Mhm.
You know, don't use it like a lot of people think about like a lot of tools like work. Don't approach it from that perspective. Approach it like you're like a child and you have Lego tools and you're just playing and you're trying to figure out are the cool things that I can build with this tool that can do anything that I want on the internet. And let your imagination run wild and just build.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I agree with you that Manus is not just like a vibe coding tool or just a website building tool because we have so many tools on the market that can help you build a website. But Manus actually it's a general AI agent that can help you like start from the research, then execution. So when you don't just have a very like complete idea of how you want to build it, what kind of product you want to build, actually you can start from just chatting with Manus, like just it's very communicative, just like you can talk with your friend, like you talk with Manus, and let it help you with the research phrase. After, like, it can do a very like thorough research on what kind of your idea is like and what kind of a reference it can help you find throughout the internet and help you do the like competitive analysis. What kind of a position can you product stand at? And after you have the whole picture, then let Manus start the session for you. And at this point, I will say you will get a like a more clear picture of what you want to build. So Manus will not spend that much time just exploring your idea and consume a lot of credit because before that you already have an idea and just give it that to Manus. So it's kind of a chain from researching to execution. I really believe it's a good practice when you want to build something. This is one. And I want to share another personal tip is skills. I don't know how many of you already use skills, but inside Manus team, what we work uh, with others, we really like the skill because we treat skills like it's a successful playbook and a successful session that you can turn it into a package where everyone just can use it. Like we were talking about the website building today. So when we build kind of website, actually Manus has a very long brand guideline, right? About the color palette, about the typography, about the space, about like the size of a picture. So not everyone can get fully detailed context how this kind of design system works. But if you have like skills that contain all of this factors, alpha details together. You just give the skill to anyone on your team, and people just use the skill that can create a website like you do. So this is really helpful when I want to create a website like our designer do, like our product manager do. Everyone can do the same because you save the successful session, successful playbook. So you can save the credit on just exploring the best practice. Of course, others just create that for you so you can just use it from day one. So that's my tips for you today. Yeah. If you have any question, you can ask in the QA and we will answering them live from now. Okay. So actually I find out that a lot of people asking about the credit. I know if Iowa, you have some tips shared for how do you save credit or just use your credit for like a most when you want to make a very big project. I know you have a
Right.
lot of tips for this.
Um, okay.
Uh,
So again, I personally have a good understanding of how much it would cost to actually pay people to do some of the things I use Manus to do, right? If I was to pay a person, it would be far more expensive to build Afropuppy Yoga's website. It would be far much more expensive and take time to ship some of the features. So I understand to some people, Manus is expensive and it consumes a lot of credits. Right, because to do things well is expensive and consumes a lot of credits. As a business person, I don't mind spending that money because it's cheaper, it's far cheaper than if I was to actually pay the cost to build the website or to do any of the things that I'm doing. So yeah, I understand that people say Manus is expensive and you consumes credits to do, very complicated things. Yes, because what you're doing is fairly complicated and you're not doing it with yourself by yourself. If you were to do it by yourself, it would take you weeks, right? So I want everyone to be very grounded in their in their expectations of Manus. With regards to helping with safe credits, I mean, one of the things that you can do is, like I said, use the plan tool. You can write better prompts or use another AI tool to write better prompts for you so that when you give the instructions to Manus, you don't have to have that back and forth. Everything is in a single prompt. All your issues has been addressed already, and then Manus can just fix it for you in one go. Um, but yeah, I think those are the tips I have with saving credits. But again, if to build something well, you need to spend money. So I don't even see it as saving. I just see it as an investment in my company and in my business.
All right. Yeah, I see two very specific questions here. So the first one is how can I in the his or her company's intern work with man? So you can't have your like company employee, other people work with you in one session. Is that possible? And how will you manage it?
Yeah, I mean, Manus has the teams. There's Manus teams where you can basically assign seats to multiple people in your organization. In my actually, besides my own company, I also have a full-time job, and at my work we use Manus, and multiple people on the team use Manus as well, and we all, um, yes, and we all get to use Manus, and it works fine. I think one of the questions that Dr. Emmanuel Jonathan is asking is, um, I think he's saying like, how can I intern or work with Manus? You have to ask Yesley that. The other question that you're asking is, how do I get clients to pay me for websites I build with Manus? The way that you get clients to pay you for websites is that the website have to solve a problem for them. Do you understand? You need to actually be solving a pain point. Once your website solves an actual pain point and it solves it well, the next thing that you need to do is to market it or convince the clients that, hey, this is your problem, this is the solution, and I built that solution for you with Manus. Now, the beautiful thing is, if it's a fairly difficult problem, I can assure you that Manus achieved it far cheaper than if they were to pay a developer. So if they were to build that solution with a developer, they would have probably paid maybe 50,000. You build it with Manus, you charge the clients 10,000. Now you've made money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I would approach it. And that's what I've done.
Cool, cool. Yeah. And I saw another question is, let me find it. So if a lot of people visit your site, there will be a higher cloud usage cost for Manus. Is that right? Because I know IOI, your cheapo, the website traffic with Manus. So I think you got something to answer this question, right?
One of the I think the question I think the Manus has something called auto scaling. And depending on the volume of traffic on your website, it would scale so that it can accommodate it. And if there's not a lot of traffic on your website, Manus will actually scale down. And if it feels that like the website isn't getting enough traffic, it would actually close the website. So, so you don't need to worry about that as like a business. Typically, as a business, if you were to do this yourself, you would need to get like AWS and you would need to like optimize for, traffic and all of these things. You don't need to worry about that. Manus does auto scaling. It's going to be added to your website and then you can go from there.
Cool, cool.
Gerard asking a very good question. It says, Manus probably understood the branding from APY social media. Yes, yes. It was able to look at our social media and our website, and it knew exactly what to build. So yeah, you're correct in that sense.
Yeah, anyway, you can just scroll the QA session.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Can you move your website to GoDaddy if needed? Yes. When you create your website, you can sync it with your GitHub repo. And when you sync it with your GitHub repo, you can then host that, basically deploy it anywhere you want. You can deploy it on GoDaddy, you can deploy it on Vercel, on Netlify, wherever you like. But once the code has been completed and done, and you put it into GitHub, you're good to go. Does Manus have memory? Yes, Manus has memory, and however, the longer your sessions go, there is going to be something called compaction because Manus can only take so much. Now, I have found a neat way to solve this problem. One of the things that you can do is to connect Manus to Notion or a Google Doc. And after all of your work is done in a single session, tell Manus to write the basically a summary of what you have completed into that Notion document or into a Google Doc. Then in the next session, tell it to read from that Notion document. And this way you continue to keep a persistent memory. So it's kind of a funny little hack that I created, but I hope that works for you. Managed charges. So basically, to answer Ryan Gamlin's question, you basically pay a subscription. Depending on your subscription, you might get like maybe 6,000, 4,000, 8,000 credits. And based off of that credits, that's basically how you're charged. Now, once your website is built, let's say, for example, you have an AI chatbot where people basically call on the API for the LLM powering your AI chatbot. That's going to cost some money, but it's very cheap, right? So it's not that bad. It's maybe like $2, like give or take, depending on the scale, but it's not that expensive. You should be able to afford it. Okay. Okay, so Adam asking a question. Hey, Manus, can you build the backend system for when I sell the website, the new owner can edit it? It will work with you going forward doing that. I'm not really sure what you mean, but like you're the one building the backend system and you're the one delivering it to the client. So, I mean, if you have it in such a way that the client knows how to handle the backend system, then great, you can do that. After creating a website in Manus, how do you? Okay, so Mark is asking a good question. I want to add a paywall to my website where people will have to use their debit card to pay for things. Manus allows you to connect with Stripe. And so if you create a Stripe account and you take your Stripe API keys and you give that to Manus, Manus will basically can create a paywall for you. So that, for example, for Echelon Institute, for people to pay for the courses, they have to pay money, right? And when they pay money, I receive that money, and all of that is handled through Stripe. And Manus works with Stripe. Manus also works with Shopify. So if you sell maybe not courses, but if you sell like merchandise or clothes, Manus now has a great integration with Shopify that allows you to even you know, sell clothes, for example, and people will pay you as well. Yes, the websites that Manus creates are SEO and AIO optimized. Manus has a feature where once your website has been deployed and hosted, you can turn on the SEO. But one of the good things is that because Manus is an autonomous AI agent, you can actually ask it to build for you an SEO plan. So Manus is going to go into the website and actually write code that builds all of the things that like will help your SEO rank and your website rank really well. And then it's also going to teach you, for example, how to put your site on Google Search Console, and then you can see that your site is actually doing really well. You can also connect your site to Ahref, and by implementing some of the things that Manus asks you to do, you're going to see a massive difference. I actually just did SEO stuff for my website, and it worked really, really well. Yes, one of the questions I think Dominique is asking is, would the code do well if Manus doesn't host the website? Yes. The way you do this is by once your website is built, you need to tell Manus to create a migration plan for you. And basically, Manus will write the code in such a way that the code is autonomous of Manus's dependent systems or Manus's internal systems. The next thing it's going to do is that it's going to give you a list of systems that you can deploy your code into, and it should run smoothly and fine. But me personally, I don't have the money to pay for different tooling and infrastructure, so I just do everything on Manus.